Could the mother of 16 children pulled from a house in rural Ohio be pregnant again? This news comes as one of the Siders' family members begs to get out of jail. I dig into all of the shocking new details. I'm Anjanette Levy, and this is Crime Fix.
Could a woman facing 16 felony counts for how her children were found be walking into her own delivery room from a jail cell? That's the question sitting at the center of the Siders case out of rural Ohio right now, and it's one that no headline has fully answered. Picture this: a house on a quiet street, 4 adults inside and 16 children whose living conditions were bad enough to trigger a multi-agency raid. Now picture that same house, quietly, adding an 18th name to a birth registry, twin girls, born conjoined, who never survived their first day. That's the image this case leaves behind. A family that kept growing while the walls around it kept closing in. Before we go further into what the court record actually shows, make sure you're subscribed to this channel, because we're not here to sensationalize a tragedy. We're here to walk through the facts as they've been reported and let you draw your own conclusions. Elizabeth Siders is 33 years old.
Elizabeth Siders, the mother of 16 children pulled from that house in Vinton County, Ohio, is in jail facing 16 felony counts of child endangering. But Elizabeth Siders' problems don't end with her criminal case. She has another issue she's dealing with right now. I've learned that 33-year-old Elizabeth Siders is pregnant again right now as she sits in jail. She's expecting.
She's currently being held in Vinton County, Ohio, on 16 counts of child endangering, charges tied directly to the conditions investigators say they found when the house on Omar Street was searched.
After they were found as deputies and state agents executed a search warrant at the house on Omar Street. The 4 Siders family members, Gary Jr. and Elizabeth Siders, and Gary Jr.'s parents, Gary Siders Sr. and Christina Siders, who
her husband, Gary Siders Jr., faces the same 16 counts. So do his parents, Gary Siders Sr. and Christina Siders, who reportedly goes by Lynn. 4 adults, 16 charges apiece. And, according to birth records cited in local reporting, 18 children born to one woman since roughly 2008. 16 of whom were reportedly in that house when it was searched, and 2 of whom, a set of conjoined twins born in November 2022, died the same day they were born. Here's the detail that turns a bad situation into a genuinely strange one. Reports now indicate Elizabeth Siders may be pregnant again. If confirmed, that would make 19.
Elizabeth Siders gave birth to a set of twins in November 2022. The baby girls were conjoined, meaning their bodies were fused together and they shared organs. Those babies died the same day they were born in November 2022. There's actually a grave marker that shows the twins were named Bailey Lee Siders and Faith Siders. So right now,
19 pregnancies, allegedly from one woman in a household that a search warrant and 16 felony counts suggest could not properly care for the children already inside it. Ask yourself this: what does it mean for a legal system when the person facing the most serious allegations in the case might, at the same time, be preparing to bring a new child into the world from inside that same jail? That's not a rhetorical flourish. That's the actual reported situation prosecutors and defense attorneys are now navigating. The 4 defendants were initially charged with 17 counts of child endangering. That number is now reported as 16. Nobody has confirmed publicly why the count changed, but it's a detail worth sitting with. A full 16 felony counts on the table, and one of those counts quietly gone.
Child endangering for the conditions the children were living in and the condition they were in when they were found. When the 4 were first arrested, they were actually charged with 17 counts of child endangering, but now that number's 16. I'm wondering if that was because Elizabeth Siders is pregnant. It could be. The 4 Siders family members were supposed to appear in Vinton County Court this week for a preliminary hearing. That's a hearing where a judge determines whether there is probable cause to show that the crimes were committed. And the judge would then decide if there's enough evidence to send the case to trial. But the Siders waived their right to that hearing. Here's Elizabeth Siders' attorney.
All 4 family members were scheduled for a preliminary hearing, the stage where a judge decides whether prosecutors have shown enough probable cause to send a case forward. According to their attorneys, all 4 waived that hearing. In plain terms, they chose not to let a judge test the evidence in public At least not yet. Elizabeth Siders' attorney has indicated he'll file a motion to modify her bond, citing her lack of any prior criminal record as one relevant factor for the court to weigh.
Tommy Stolley says he will file a motion asking that Elizabeth Siders' bond be modified.
I do want to make a point here. It is my understanding, I believe that the prosecutor's understanding as well, that my client, Elizabeth Siders, has no criminal history. So when the court is looking at deciding what the bond is going to be set at, there are factors that are enumerated out for the court for them to help them make that decision. Ultimately, in this case, there's a lot of attention given the fact that you are all here. And it puts a lot of pressure on the court system and puts a lot of pressure on the media as well. For my client specifically, not having any criminal history, to my knowledge, not having ever been charged with failure to appear, starts to mitigate some of those factors. Some of the things that courts will look at in a case like this is what does that criminal history look like? Have they ever been charged with failure to appear? Because we're trying to determine, is this person a flight risk? At this point in time, we are still not sure, at least at my office, whether my client is a victim herself or not. I have previously stated that she does not necessarily characterize herself as a victim, but the investigation from the prosecutor's office, the investigation from my office is still ongoing. So, with all of that, taking all of that into consideration, we anticipate filing a motion.
16 felony counts, a waived hearing, a missing 17th charge, 3 signals, 1 pattern, a family moving as quietly as it can through a system built to be loud. There's a separate thread running underneath all of this. Reports indicate the search that led to the discovery of the children stemmed from an entirely different, sealed investigation, one that hasn't been connected publicly to the child endangering charges, and hasn't been connected to 4 unrelated misdemeanor public indecency charges Gary Siders Jr. is also facing. What was in that sealed warrant remains unknown. Local reporting has raised the possibility of benefits or welfare-related fraud, given the number of children in the household, but as of now, that's speculation from legal analysts, not a confirmed charge.
Another new development in this case, the Vinton County prosecutor, William Archer, has asked the court for help to prosecute the Siders. Archer filed a request with the court asking that the Attorney General's office and an elected prosecutor from another county, Highland County prosecutor Annika Collins, be appointed to assist with the case. That raises the question, will this Vinton County prosecutor, William Archer?
So what was worth sealing? What was worth a raid that wasn't about the children, but ended up exposing 16 of them anyway? 16 felony counts, a waived hearing, a missing 17th charge. Meanwhile, the human cost of this case is playing out in hospital rooms, not courtrooms. More than a week after the search, at least 1 child reportedly remained hospitalized. The rest have reportedly been placed with foster families as they're released. Some of the older children apparently had social media accounts. Anime images, cat photos as profile pictures, but reportedly no images of themselves. That detail alone raises a question nobody has answered yet. How does a household in the condition prosecutors allege still have working phones and internet access for its teenagers?
Actually stay on the case. The Siders children who've been released from the hospital have been placed with foster families. Some of the children remain hospitalized, but some of the older Siders children were actually active on social media. They have accounts where they displayed images from anime and even used cats as their profile photos. But the children never posted any photos of themselves, which raises.
There's also the matter of Gary Siders Sitcher, age 73, whose attorney has filed to modify his bond, citing his age, mobility issues, and questions about his competency.
Even more questions. Why were the children on social media and given phones to access it? The attorney for the grandfather, Gary Sr., has filed a motion asking that his bail be modified and lowered so he can post some form of bail to be released from jail. Attorney Dorian Baum says his client is 73 and will appear at future court dates and comply with GPS monitoring.
I mean, obviously, in nearly any case where your defendant or client is being held in jail and wants reduced, at this point, it's probably made quite clear that concerns about Mr. Siders' competence, whether he is suffering from mental health issues, from diminished capacity, etc. So, to be perfectly blunt, if a person like that is sitting in jail, that is a bit of an affront to me. I don't think he belongs in jail. I think right now he belongs in other jails to address those medical issues or mental health issues he's dealing with. And to be perfectly blunt, if he is not competent, he is not going to be used as a prosecutor if at all. He will be prosecuted, in which case he's now just sitting in jail as someone who's incompetent. So
We now know that Gary Siders Sr. was taken to the hospital on July 7th, and that motion to modify his bail was granted. He's in the hospital receiving more specialized.
He was reportedly hospitalized on July 7th and transported for more specialized care, and his bond has since reportedly been modified to a $300,000 recognizance bond, with the state covering his GPS monitoring once released. The other 3 family members reportedly remain held on $300,000 bonds each.
Now, after I recorded that interview with Mark Weaver, we learned that Gary Siders Sr.'s bail has been modified to a $300,000 recognizance bond. This comes after he was taken to the hospital on July 7th, as I mentioned earlier, and transported to another hospital for more specialized care. The state is now going to pay for his GPS monitoring once he's released from the hospital. The remaining Siders family members remain in jail on those $300,000 bonds.
16 felony counts, a waived hearing, a missing 17th charge. And then there's the county itself. Vinton County is reportedly one of the poorest, least populated counties in Ohio.
Let's move on now to this new request from the prosecutor, Bill Archer. He filed motions basically asking for, filed requests with the court asking for the appointment of special prosecutors. Now, we understand that this, of course, is a huge case. Vinton County is a small county, the poorest county in Ohio, the least populous county in Ohio, or at least it's one of the poorest counties.
16 felony counts, a waived hearing, a missing 17th charge. And then there's the county itself. Vinton County is reportedly one of the poorest, least populated counties in Ohio.
He's asking that the actual county prosecutor of Highland County be appointed as a special prosecutor, also asking that the Attorney General's office and some of their assistants be added as special prosecutors. And this is raising a lot of questions. He's saying they need to be able to assist in the investigation and prosecution of this case. But this raises a lot of questions. Is it possible that the Vinton County prosecutor is going to simply ask that another county handle this? Because there are a lot of questions surrounding, were these people getting benefits? Were they getting any type of welfare benefits? Was Job and Family Services involved? I actually spoke to somebody who told me that Job and Family Services in another county had actually visited this family some time ago, and they had concerns, and that's why these people picked up and left.
Its own prosecutor has asked the court to bring in outside help, specifically an elected prosecutor from another county and additional attorneys from the state attorney general's office. Legal analysts have pointed out that this kind of request usually means one of 2 things. Either the county simply doesn't have the staff to handle a case this large, or the local prosecutor's office has a potential conflict of interest, since it may also represent the very children's services agency that could face scrutiny for how.
Also, what's very interesting is that one of the relatives of Christina Siders, Ronnie Fletcher, told a local TV station, they're horrified by this. They were kept at arm's length. They would get a call asking for money sometimes to pay a utility bill. They gave them a car like a year ago, things of that nature. So it sounds like the extended family.
If you want to follow this yourself, Vinton County Common Pleas Court maintains public case records, and Ohio's public records law allows requests into prior contact between children's services and any household. Records that, if released, could answer whether this family was known to the system long before this raid. We'd genuinely like to know what you think. Should prior child welfare contact with a family be public record before charges are ever filed? Leave your answer in the comments. This case is still in its earliest stages. Charges can change. A grand jury has yet to weigh in. Nothing here should be read as a final verdict on guilt, only as a record of what has been reported and what remains open. If you found this breakdown useful, like this video, share it with someone following the case, subscribe for continuing coverage, and turn on notifications. Because as new filings come in, we'll be back to walk through exactly what they mean.